All right, let's jump right in. For a long time, the idea of social impact for businesses in Bangladesh was pretty simple, right? You make your money, and then maybe you show up for a photo op with one of those giant checks. Well, I'm here to tell you that playbook is completely out of date. The entire landscape of how brands connect with people is changing. And if you're not paying attention, you're not just taking a risk. You're basically writing your own extinction story.
So just take a second and ask yourself this. When your customers see your brand's name attached to a social cause, what's their first gut reaction? Do they see something real, something you're genuinely committed to, or do they just see another PR stunt, another photo op? The answer to that question is becoming one of the single biggest factors in whether a brand thrives or dives in Bangladesh today.
And this isn't just a hunch. We've got the data. Get this, a massive 64% of Bangladeshi consumers believe that when a brand starts talking about social issues, it's just for show. It's pure PR. That means almost 2 out of every 3 people in your audience are already cynical before you've even opened your mouth. They're just not buying it anymore.
And here's the thing that's really interesting. Your biggest competitor right now might not be the other guys selling a similar product. Nope. Your biggest threat is this enormous trust gap. People are just tired of being let down by empty promises, and that skepticism has built up a huge wall between you and your customers. Just getting their attention, let alone their trust, is a battle.
This chart really tells the whole story. A study from Yale found that only 12%, just 12, of young urban consumers in Bangladesh will trust an eco-friendly label without any proof to back it up. That means the other 88%, that huge bar right there, are looking at that label with immediate suspicion. So just slapping a green sticker on your package while doing business as usual, that's not just useless anymore. It's actually damaging your brand's credibility.
Okay, so if the old model is broken, what's the new one? What's the new survival strategy? Well, it all comes down to one word: purpose. And let's be crystal clear here. We are not talking about charity. This isn't some side project to make everyone feel warm and fuzzy. We're talking about a core business strategy that gives you a real, lasting edge over the competition.
So what is purpose-driven marketing, really? It's when you take a social cause and you weave it so deeply into your company that it becomes part of how you operate, part of the product itself. The goal here is a win-win. Creating value for your shareholders, absolutely, but also creating real value for the community. The trick is, they stop being 2 separate goals. They become the exact same thing.
This slide lays it out perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the old way, what we can call checkbook CSR. You know, the factory makes its money over here, and then it writes a check for a donation over there, totally separate. But the new way, on the right, is all about integration. The purpose isn't a handout from the factory, it's built into the factory's operations. It's a fundamental shift from a PR move to a business model.
So why is this so powerful? Well, for starters, when you're genuinely helping to solve a problem people care about, you're no longer just another product on the shelf. You become a partner. This builds something marketers call brand salience, which is really just a fancy way of saying you become the first brand that pops into someone's head. And when that happens, you don't have to spend as much money finding new customers because your current loyal customers start doing the marketing for you. It creates this amazing positive feedback loop. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds good in a presentation, but how do you actually do it? How do you go from just talking about purpose to making it real? That is exactly where the Impact Integration Framework comes in. It's a 4-step process. First, you have to audit your own operations, and that means taking a hard, honest look in the mirror. Then, you narrow your focus. You can't save the world, so pick one thing you can actually own and make a difference in. Third, you embed the impact right into your product or service. And finally, number 4, you practice radical honesty. You have to be totally transparent about your journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now let's look at this table a little closer, because that trade-off column is everything. This stuff isn't easy. Auditing your operations, that could mean firing a cheap supplier, which might hurt your profits in the short term. Narrowing your focus, that means saying no to a bunch of other good causes. Embedding impact, that takes real money for R&D, not just ad spend. And radical honesty, that opens you up to criticism. Every single step requires a tough, real-world business decision.
So, does this framework actually work here in Bangladesh? You bet it does. We don't have to look overseas for examples. We've got our own local legends who have been proving this model works for decades.
For more than 40 years, one brand has completely dominated its industry. And they did it not just by selling great products, but by building their entire company on a foundation of purpose. I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. Akagron? Their incredible success is not an accident. It's a masterclass in this exact strategy.
So what's their secret? Simple. Arong didn't just start a charity on the side. They wove the economic well-being of 65,000 artisans directly into their supply chain. When you buy something from Arong, the social impact isn't an extra. It's a built-in feature of the product itself. That makes their model incredibly difficult for anyone else to copy, and it's the real source of their long-lasting dominance.
This line from the source material just says it all, doesn't it? For Arong, their purpose is their product. There's no daylight between the two. The value to the customer and the value to the community are one and the same. That right there is the gold standard.
All right, you've seen the data, you've seen the success stories, and hopefully you're feeling inspired. So what do you do about it on Monday morning? Well, this last section is your action plan, but it also comes with a pretty serious warning. If you're running a company, here are 3 things to think about. 1, take a chunk of your ad budget, say 30%, and redirect it from just talking about your brand to actually improving it through impact R&D. 2, pick one cause and stick with it for at least 2 years. Anything shorter just looks like a cheap marketing stunt. And 3, do the hard work of reevaluating your suppliers to make sure they're aligned with your values.
Now, even if you're not the CEO, you have so much power. First, get to know your supply chain inside and out. Second, become an expert on the ethics of customer data. That's the next big frontier for trust. And third, and this one takes guts, be the person in the meeting who has the courage to say, hey, this campaign feels fake, and I think it's going to backfire. And that brings me to that warning I mentioned. Because sometimes the most strategic, the most responsible, and the most purpose-driven thing a brand can do is to just be quiet.
I love this analogy from the source material. It's blunt, but it's perfect. If your own house isn't in order, if your products are shoddy or your company culture is toxic, then launching a big purpose campaign is just putting a silk tie on a pig. You're not fooling anyone. You're just highlighting your own hypocrisy. You have to fix the core business first. So I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. Take a really honest look at your brand. Are you truly ready to do the hard work, to make the tough trade-offs, and to build purpose into your very DNA? Or, for right now, is honest silence your best, most authentic move? The answer to that question will probably define your brand's future.